All right.
Okay.
Welcome, Emily.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see you with your eyes open.
Yeah.
What is it like to have your eyes open while being recorded?
Oh, this is okay. This is actually okay. Well, I don't know where to look because my screen is split in two. So I see my face and I see your face. So sometimes I look here, sometimes I look there. But beside that, for now, it's okay.
Okay, cool. Just follow my face.
Yes.
Well, today, is a special episode, and you know that we have a lot of questions ready for you.
Okay. I'll do my best to answer.
People are so excited to meet you.
Hi.
And to learn a bit more about you, because they've been watching you for a year now on screen, but it wasn't really you, was it?
Not really. I was there somewhere. I was in the back having fun, watching light choreography or doing other stuff. But yeah, mostly it was not me. So I get it.
Right. Well, thank you so much, for doing this today.
You're welcome.
I know it's quite busy.
Yes.
Your life right now.
Yes.
So I'm sure everyone appreciates the time.
My pleasure.
To start with, tell us maybe a bit about yourself. Who are you? What's your life like? What have you been doing today?
Okay. Well, I'm Emily. I am in my 40s. I am married with a beautiful daughter that is going to turn 5. I had many lives in one lifetime, let's say. I've been living abroad for most of my adult life because when I was about 23, in 2007, when I was 23, I left the Paris area in France to go study in San Diego, California. And then it was supposed to be a 1-year thingy. At the time, I was in art school. So I was doing dance, choreography, music, singing, theater, all this stuff. And there was a specific degree that our government at the time did not want to open up as in government degree, which was urban dance teacher. And I wanted to get this one because if you get it, you could justify a specific salary. And then if you don't get it, then you can be abused and then people can hire you and pay you as low as they want to, right?
Okay.
So I went to the States because over there in the college, I went to Mesa College. They had degrees that I could get with this specific dance, and that I could come back to France and have it have my equivalent as in French degree based on the fact that I would have validated an American degree. And therefore, it would give me somehow an official government degree, and I will be able to get paid like what I deserve. So that was the plan. Just 1 year, get the degree, come back, have the degree translated, and take the equivalent, and then teach dance for a living. And it did not happen this way. I spent 7 years in San Diego, or 6 years in San Diego, and then 7 years in LA. So my 1-year thingy turned out in 13-year thingy. And I came back home for vacation, but I came to France 2 weeks prior to COVID, first confinement. So I got stuck in here. And when I got stuck in here, I was in the middle of having my citizenship in America, but I could not attend my interview, which was the last step of your citizenship. Well, one of the last steps. So I lost my citizenship. And because I stayed more than 6 years total in a year outside of US, I also lost my green card. So basically I lost all my papers.
Damn.
That make me a legit or legal alien over there. And that was that was a bit of a turn point for me because I had 2 solutions. It was either I hold on to something that I've been fighting for 13 years to try to get to that point where I am actually, like either a citizen or where I'm a legal resident and all this stuff, and decided that those 13 years were just being thrown out the window. And then I would just bounce my head in the wall if I would stay on that feeling. Or I decided that, well, that's what it is. Life wanted me to be in Europe and didn't want me to go back to US. So I guess my time in the US was done and it would be easier to swallow this way. So I put all my effort into focusing on that version. So the pill was a little softer. But basically, I had all my stuff there. I had my business, I had my car, I had my stuff, my apartment, my account. Everything was still over there and is still over there. But I decided, that's it. I cannot go back anymore because I don't have any rights. So it's like I never existed for 13 years over there. And,
wow.
and yeah. So
when did you return to France?
2020.
Right.
Literally, the first confinement was in March. And I literally landed, I think it was February 28th. So 2 weeks prior to the first confinement. But at the same time, maybe it was an answer to some prayers because Younes was in France. And with Trump administration, because he's from Moroccan descent, they never let him cross the airport in LA. So he couldn't come visit me. So we had to be meeting each other outside the US no matter what. And it's been 3 years that we were trying to figure out how to be reunited. So maybe this was an answer to our prayer because he was abroad too. And then COVID brought him to France too. So we got stuck in France at the same time. And then therefore we could just well, let's move in together. Let's do it. So that's probably also why this happened this way.
Right.
And then prior to the US, I was like I said, I was in an art school. Prior to that, I was in a physical education. I wanted to be a teacher, university in France. Prior to that, I was in a math university.
Okay.
Prior to that, I specialized in teenager care, and I was working on a neighborhood house that was having activities and that was taking care pretty much of 11 to 16 years old kids. And I did that for 6 years. And so I had that's why I say I had many, many lives, and this is just like a little bit of it. I had many hats work-wise. I work in school in dance. I work with the structure for the teenager. I worked in restaurant. I worked as a cashier. I worked I bartended. I worked in a library. I worked as an engineer for a capacitor company. I worked logistic. I was a manager for a clothes shop on Melrose that was selling sports and hip hop stuff. Then I worked in a cannabis store for 3 years. I was responsible for the stock. I was stock manager. And then I went to manufacture. I worked Uber for 3 years. I worked for Amazon as a delivery. It's like the list is endless,
You're only 40. How did you do all that?
Yeah. I was working, at one point I worked 80 hours a week.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And then I got, when I was in the States, I fell in love with alternate medicine. And I dived deep into hypnosis, as you know. That's how we met. I did Reiki. So I got my level 2 in Reiki. I got the level 2 in hypnosis. I did sonotherapy, so sound healing therapy.
Right.
I got my degree in that too. And I think that's about it. Kind of. Or at least that circles it for my work life.
Yeah.
Well, and
No, continue.
As a hobby, I love, well, see, that's the thing. I love too many things, right? And I like to do them all at once. So then I have no time on my plate. This is pretty much what my life is me being so curious and so in love with pretty much everything that life has to offer, that I'm just going to say, yes, 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 yes. I want to do it all. And then I realize, oh, but there's only 24 hours in one day. So I am basically running all the time. Yes. I think that sums it up. And then on top of that, I got my daughter when it was not, well, the doctors told me basically, because I have endometriosis, and then they told me like if I wanted to be a mom, I was 37 at the time, it would be now or never, kind of. So we worked at it, and then she was supposed to, well, if they told me if she doesn't come within the 6 months, then I would have to do a PMA, which is medically assisted procreation in France. And then we were not pregnant when we reached that cap, but I didn't want to go through it. And I say, you know what? We're not doing it. If we need to be pregnant, we'll be pregnant. If not, we won't be pregnant. And then I got pregnant 2 months later after that. And then this pregnancy, she held on to it. So Marisha came in. And then now I'm a happy mom of a crazy ball of energy that is giving me a run for my money. And now I can feel the 40 plus years, you know? So I'm a happy late parent. So let's put it this way. And then we live in a little village, like in a small town. So I want to be involved with the village life. So I do a lot with the association for the kids, with other parents, for the school. We are cooking now. We have a food truck that we run through the different little village around our lake. Yes.
Finally,
yeah, getting there.
Because, that would be interesting to know for our listeners, because I think Rufus has commented on that project a few times.
It did.
In the conversations that are published. So in case, people have been wondering, it's been that project, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the project started, again, it was like completely unpredicted or unwanted, like quote marks, right? Like I guess I got this now. But basically we had a tradition here. We do neighbors gathering, right? And usually when it's June, when it's sunny outside. So the first time we got here, we did a neighbors gathering, and everything, it was a potluck. So you were supposed to bring something to eat. And then Eunice was like, oh, I'm going to do a couscous. I'm going to make a couscous. Like they don't eat this often. So I'm going to make a couscous. So we made a couscous for like 20 people, and everybody loved it. And they were, well, there is this market like every summer, in the village. You should do the couscous for the village, and you should go check it out. And that's and this and that. So you're okay. Yes, again, you must see that. Yes. So let's go. So we went to that market, and then we talked to the guy, and then he was like, what do you do? And we said, well, no, we don't do nothing, but we've been told that we should come and offer couscous. And he said, yeah, that's very cool. So we started to do the couscous for the village. And then at first we had like 20 people, and then the next week like 30, and then the next week 40, and then the next week 50, and then it kept on going up and up. And the city hall of our village, like after the market was over, asked us to keep on doing it yearly, so we can offer that to the people living there. So again, we say yes. And next thing you know, we're cooking every Tuesday for our village. And 1 year goes through, and then the second year start, and then we're getting more and more requests for private party, for events, for other village. So again, we said yes. And like we realized that at one point we maybe needed to structure something and then be an official company and do it with the proper regulation and follow the law and all this stuff. So we went to it's like they give you an accompaniment, like it's something specific to this category of worker. Like if you're an artisan, if you do stuff with your hands and stuff like that, then you can get help for your project. And then people will tell you if your project is solid, or if you need to work on this and this and this.
Like a consultant.
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah. So we worked with them, and then we built up a business plan. We built up the project and everything, and it took us a long time. But finally, our tabs were good. Everything was good. It was approved. It was like supported by a lot of people living here, and then people that were like, politically involved and all this stuff. A lot of shops around too that supported us. So we went for it, and we decided, okay, we're gonna build a food truck, a real one, and we're gonna travel around, and we're gonna offer the possibility for all those little villages, if they have events or stuff they want to do, then we would go, because the food truck, they stay in the cities. They don't really come to our places. So if you want to have something, it's very difficult to tell a food truck, leave the city, come to us, and we have an event in the village, but we have 500 people in our village. When you do something, you have almost 500 people there. So it doesn't mean it's a small village, you don't have any customer. It means it's a small village, you have a lot of support, and then you're going to have people that will show up for you because you're showing up for them. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So we went for it, and we just got our trailer on June 17th. And we are learning to maneuver it. We got a permit for it. So it's a completely different new way of driving. And we had, like, within the first week, we had 3 different events with 150 people, 120 people. And so it's becoming bigger and bigger. And yeah, we're booked left and right through the summer. So we're hoping that this is the start to something big and good for everybody.
Yeah. And I'm sure everybody is wishing you guys all the best for that.
Yes, thank you.
It's such a cool story, Thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely.
It's so inspiring. Like, you kind of stumbled into it, and simply by saying yes, you have now created this business, and passion project at the same time. Something that you're both really good at, just because you said yes to life in a way, right?
Yes. Well, because see, at one point, I used to say no a lot when I was younger. And I used to be like this is where I want to do. This is how I want to do it. This is where I want to go. And I'm not going to let anything change this way, because I know this is the right way to do it. This was kind of my attitude when I was younger. And then the more I grow, and the more experience I had in different places too, because I think when you travel and you live abroad, or you live into different places, culture and everything, it's also bringing a completely different perception on stuff, and on how you are taking life also. So now I feel like I'm the complete opposite. Sometimes it comes back, sometimes I want to, but most of the time I'm like, okay, this is what I have in mind. I kind of want to do something like this. Maybe I have no clue how I want to do it, but I'm going to trust that whatever, if I feel I want to go for something like this, then every little thing that are going to happen in between, or every people I'm going to encounter in between, if I'm not closed to their proposition or to what they have to like bring, whether it's an advice or a possibility, and if I say yes instead of saying no because this is not how I want to do it, then I realize that it will work in the end, like somehow. And it's not even how I thought it would work, but most of the time it ended up being a better option, because I was unable to see that option or project, or even think about doing it this way. But in fact, it was actually even better than what I thought I was going to go for.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to say yes, but also saying yes too much is no good. Because at one point, Eunice is here. Because at one point, it's like you say yes, 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 and then you have too much on your plate and you're 2 minutes. Yeah, well, you know it.
Right. It's about balance, right?
It's about balance. Yeah.
But there are times when saying yes actually gets the ball rolling, like it did for you. And hi, Eunice.
Yeah.
And you see, guys, we don't need to call in Rufus like to get some beautiful wisdom, like Emily sharing it so generously.
Well, yeah, well, I feel somehow they are coding they're coding some stuff probably because they also like broaden my spectrum because okay, first of all, I'm not caught up at all in the episodes. I'm still stuck on episode 6, so I am far behind, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I am far behind just because too many no time, and therefore no time to even listen to the stuff we created. But anyway, but I feel like sometimes what consciously I would have said or I would have answered, at least in the episode that I watched, then would be almost not in disagreement, but not in the same lane as what they would answer. Mm-hmm. And it would sometimes take me a bunch of listening to the same little paragraphs or sentences so I can really digest it and understand it and be, okay, I get it. Because naturally, maybe this is not what I would have answered that question. So it's very interesting for me also. And I think it's opening myself up a little more each and every time. And probably unconsciously, it is somehow also like opening doors and opening more perspective on stuff.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It does.
What is it like for you when you listen to stuff that maybe consciously, I always like shudder a bit when I say consciously because Rufus has taught me to not use that word in that way. They don't like it, but you know what I mean? Like with
awareness, with my intellectual,
exactly,
engaged.
What does it feel like to consciously, in quote marks, listen to stuff that you would probably not see that way or say that way? Like, how does it feel? Is that weird or surreal?
It is weird because sometimes, like, well, first of all, this is, I'm going to go back and forth, but it's easy for me to take off, right? It's easy for me to put myself in the background to get busy
in the session.
Somewhere else. And when I say, for those who don't know me, when I say get busy somewhere else is I'm going to be here. So I'm still conscious, but it's almost like I can dream or I can think about something else, right? Or I can I remember in Egypt, I was watching a choreography of colors. So I can be busy with my intellect doing something else, but I know that they are using my body to speak and I can hear what they are saying, but I won't have like I won't have the anticipation. So whatever comes out of my mouth, like right now, I anticipate. I know in my head what I'm about to say. So and then I say it. So there is a knowing of what's coming out of my mouth. When they are using it, the knowing is post the verbal
speaking,
right? Yeah. So it's like it's gonna speak first, and then I'm gonna consciously know what is said. But it's almost like if I was outside, like you guys, and I would listen to them, so I can consciously understand it. But so the hard part, and it's not hard, it's just it's a dance. Is if something comes, and then the beginning of that subject is not rubbing me the right way, meaning like I'm not like necessarily with my intellectual self in agreement or ready to hear or I wouldn't have say something like this, then I have to be very careful and stay busy where I am, because otherwise it would be difficult not to engage in the conversation.
Right. And you're talking about while transmitting.
Yes.
What? Okay.
Yes. So I did, like, when I do that, I decide, I say, no matter what comes out, whether I like it or not, whether I'm in agreement or I disagree with this is not my problem. It comes out, then I will then have my discussion, because sometimes I do have my discussion post this with them, where I with my intellect, I say, and I remember one day I had a issue with the octopus analysis. I don't know if it was early on, because I thought the octopus analysis was right on the money and I liked it. And then something was not like to their liking, and I can't even remember what it was. But we had a debate on this, and then back and forth with them after the session, because like sometimes I would feel them in the back of my head, and then I would tell, okay, like I didn't like this because, like, for me this was right, and this was like this, and then I'll have like a complete like conversation in my head that would tell me da 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 da, like, for instance, the octopus subject, because this is the one that I remember clearly. And then I would be like, oh yeah, now I get it. So it would take me a while to accept that my way of thinking was maybe, it's not accurate, but was maybe different than their way of thinking. And so we would not be seeing eye to eye on the subject. And I tell myself, if this happened, I deal with it later, because otherwise my ego or me, Emily, will come into the conversation, and then I will alter the transmission.
Right.
So I put my best foot forward in order to stay out of it.
Well, that's interesting to hear, because it seems like this has been like a learning process for you over time.
Yeah.
But, you know, we worked together the first time in 2019, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
In Egypt, when we did the quantum hypnosis advanced level, Dolores Cannon's modality, QHHT. You were already so good at just like letting information come through you. Like, it's even surprising to me to hear that this has been, I don't want to say a challenge, but it has been like a topic. You know?
It is. It's not a challenge because it's easy to do, but it's something that I have to, it's almost like when you hear a conversation and you feel like you want to participate, right? But it's not your business to participate in it. You know what the feel is? So this is like it. It's like sometimes I feel like I want to participate, but at the same time, I know and I decide that it's not my place right now to participate to this conversation. And in Egypt, it was a little different, because in Egypt, I was really busy with those colors choreography. So this, like, I most of the time, I would not even know, because I would not even pay attention to what was said. I would not be, let's say, mindful of it. It would just blah, blah, blah. And I would be very much interested in what was going on visually in my head. So,
just to give the audience a bit of context.
Yeah.
We did a quantum hypnosis session in Egypt. It was part of the training program. And you volunteered, right?
Yeah.
As like the subject. I was the facilitator. And we worked with your higher self at the time. I'm just going to say higher self now. If you've been listening to the episodes, you know what part of higher self. Exactly. What part we've been working with. Rufus explained it, but I'm just going to say higher self. And the higher self mentioned in the session that they put Emily in a very colorful, beautiful place, so she's busy and we can talk undisturbed.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes I feel like they will put me in that place where I can be busy with a lot of other stuff, and therefore I would not know and I would not remember at all the topic of the conversation.
Right.
And then at one part, like in the conversation, sometimes I will come back a little bit and I will be aware of what is being discussed. I would not interfere, but I will be aware of the topic. So this is why sometimes like I could tell you, okay, I remember that there was this, we talked about something like this, but then that's it. It's very brief because I don't want to spend too much time being aware of what is said, because I much rather being completely away so I don't alter anything. And then I feel like they are being pretty good now at using the body. So if it feels like completely like, whatever, I can take a nap or it's a do whatever you want. I know you'll be able to use it, and I'll be able to do whatever I want to do otherwise.
Well, you've already answered, a number of questions and people had about what it feels like for you.
Okay.
When you're transmitting, but that was actually another question. Like, do you feel you are in a somnambulistic experience when you are in a Rufus session? But you just said it fluctuates, right?
Yeah, because I don't recall having a somnambule experience, so I don't know exactly how it would feel like. But for me, it's almost like I'm here, right? I know where I am. I know that I am laying. I know that you're talking to me. I know what's going on somehow. But what I don't know is what is about to come out of my mouth. And what I know also that there is another energy that mine present, because I can feel it in my body. And in function of who is using the body, it feels very, very different.
You mean what aspect of Rufus?
Yes. Sometimes it would be like I would feel it very very much like the way it used the mouth. It would be very, I don't know if it shows on the video, but it would be very
it does.
Pulled, yes. So then on my muscle will be will be used in a way that I've never used them. So I would feel that. I would also feel sometimes like
it looks like a very good face exercise, actually.
Yeah, like the face yoga, right?
Rejuvenate.
Exactly. I would feel also sometimes other part of my body being like more heavy or dense, or more at ease. So it would be different, but I will have physical sensation that will also let me know, okay, they're here. I can feel them. And in function of what sensation is there, I can kind of anticipate which one or which aspect is coming through. What I can never refrain or that I don't want to allow myself to control is what is going to be excuse me, said. And this is very weird because it's almost like you really don't know what you're about to say. So and I guess like sometimes maybe like if you're drunk or if you have no filter, maybe this is what's happening is like you say something and then you realize, I just say this. But before you were saying it, you had no clue that you were actually saying this, right? And this is the part that is tricky. Because it's you hear, and sometimes you hear stuff that you would not even have used this way of building the sentence to say it, or you would not have used this word, or you would not have used this tone or this metaphor or this example. You would have picked something else, but then you are hearing yourself talking about something that you don't really feel comfortable or confident that you know the subject well. So you're hearing yourself talking about a subject that you have pretty much no clue what you're talking about, using a voice that is completely different than yours because you can still hear how it sounds and you know it's a little different, feeling the placement of that voice within your body that is completely different, feeling your body going into kind of numbness or like being directed by others than you, and like speaking without anticipating or without knowing what's going to come out of your mouth and have the reverse effect.
Right.
So once it's said. So basically it's too late. Like it's said anyway.
Yeah.
So this is why I also don't bother, and I'm like, I will deal with it later if I don't like what they have to say. Because it's said already.
Well, that's excellent information. Guys out there, if you're ever considering experiencing a quantum hypnosis session, then this is basically what you need to do, what Emily has been talking about. Just letting the information flow through you, right? Without really knowing what's coming out, and just surrendering and trusting. So you, Emily, you're really giving like a masterclass in doing this every other week in each of the Rufus conversations, because you do it so well. And especially with not just one being, with like
homie.
4 different.
Yeah, well, yeah. But the homie is I feel like somehow we have there is something with this aspect that makes my body almost like his instantly. It feels like this part could operate my body even daily. Like if I was in a day, they could actually just come and move it for me. And I don't know why, because I'm not caught up on those episodes. So maybe it explains it at one point. But I feel like this aspect has been very good at using me.
Yeah. And you can also see it when you watch you. Yeah. When I watch you from the outside, because it's the aspect that is most comfortable in your body, and it's not hesitating in moving it.
Yeah. And if it feels less it's not painful, because it's not painful, but it feels more natural to me when I receive this aspect. Then it feels more natural. I don't have all those little areas that can be very tense or very used in a way that I'm not familiar with. It feels way lighter.
Right. And I know that most of our listeners are actually listeners, so they're listening to the audio podcast, on the various platforms. But in case you didn't know, we also have a video version on YouTube. So if you are interested in watching Emily, transmit, then check out the YouTube channel, because you get to see what she's doing, what's happening, while the different aspects are coming in. And I always think it's quite interesting to watch. You just mentioned the tension in your body. It's really, really different when the different aspects come in.
Yeah. And that's what I do. Like the 6 episodes, I've been watching them on YouTube. So I can, because that way I can also see what's happening, because I feel it from the inside. But the fact that I can see it from the outside, it kind of connects. It's like, oh, this is why I felt it, because it was actually being moved this way. So yes, that makes sense that I was feeling this inside, because on the outside I can see it. Or I can like my voice, like sometimes it goes like in the place, like it's almost like the chin is tucked in or something, and the sound is different. And then now that I feel it inside, if I watched it, I understand how it's connected.
Right.
But I'd rather YouTube. I use YouTube over Spotify and stuff, just because I want to see.
My sister, actually, she's been watching the season as well. She's actually right where you are, episode 6, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. And she also said, she prefers watching it, because it's quite entertaining as well. And you get to kind of experience more of what's happening.
Yeah.
But of course, podcasts, right? Historically, traditionally, they're audio. So it makes sense that a lot of people prefer that. You were just talking about the voice placement. Like, how do you experience the different aspects? And do you have like a favorite, or is there maybe one when they're coming in, you're like, oh, okay, that's like more challenging?
Yeah, the one we call the newbie. Okay, this one, when it comes, but I'm sorry to say that I'm kind of glad it doesn't come that often, because this one is a pain in the butt. Like physically, it's the way using the vocal cords is very not smooth. It's not pleasant. Okay. It's almost like it's not hurtful or painful, but it's not pleasant. It's you feel it, like you feel that there is something inside that is not quite right, you know, like that it's not being used properly. So this one, I'm not a big fan of the way it's using it, but I forgive, of course, because I am super happy it can train and use that if needed. But the one that is very soothing is the mother, because it's so soft, and then the way it's placing the voice, it's very it's almost like a big hug from within. So this one I like because it feels really good. The homie, it's almost like it's his territory. So the way sometimes it's like it has a way of like placing it that it's not a string, but I can feel the word. I don't know how he does it, but it's I can feel there's something that is used in the back, like right here in the back. Yeah. It's a different way of using it. At first it was kind of like weird and a bit of uncomfortable, but the more it uses it, the easier it became for me to just accept it, and then therefore the less uneasy it is. And then because like it's the one that use the body without tension, I like that too, because even if there is more tension than the mother in the placement of the vocals, the body is more free. So it's a good balance, I would say. And then there is the father. I don't know if it comes often or not, but when it comes,
in the beginning,
it's a little more robotic. So I would feel it a little more in the vocal, and it's tense. It's very square, very tense, very rigid use of the body. So it's not as pleasant. It's not unpleasant, but it's not as smooth, let's say. Right. I can feel it.
That matches my impression as well.
Okay.
I feel like the father, he kind of opened the door. Like we talked to the father in the beginning a lot, and especially in the first episode, you know, like the entry into this first season. He, in quote marks, he did that. And then it shifted, and the mother joined, you know, and then the homie. And yes, by far, the homie seems like the one aspect that feels most comfortable in the physical body, and also the one that enjoys it the most.
Yeah.
Do you sense that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As you know,
like he loves doing that.
You have your friends that are coming to your place, and it feels like your place is their place, right? They are so comfortable in it. This is exactly how it feels with the homie. This is why I think the name is right on point for that one, because when
right,
I feel like I am his body, you know, like I feel like this is his body, this is his vehicle, and he can do whatever he wants with it, and this is perfectly fine with me, and he knows how to operate it probably better than me at points. But yeah,
you would hang out as friends.
I would hang out. Yeah, that would be easy. I think we could share.
Right. Well, the newbie, I guess this is why we called it that way as well. It seemed like the one who is least familiar with speaking through a human body.
Well,
right?
yeah, this I can tell, because like this one,
it's practicing.
Yeah, because I don't want to say it's painful or it hurts, but it's borderline. Is it's really not pleasant.
Okay. Well, we're already so deep in the questions that people sent in. We mentioned Egypt a few times.
Yes.
Before we go deeper, maybe let's jump back a little to that, because Egypt is where it all began.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
In 2019. I can't believe it's already like
7 years almost.
Yeah. That's crazy. But yeah, seemed like a chance encounter as well at the time.
Yep.
Right?
Yes. And first of all, I was not even supposed to go because I was having issue gathering the costs.
You were still in the US at that time,
I was still in the
right?
US, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we decided, because Eunice came too, and we decided that we'll go together as a trip to add like kind of like a couple vacation into the study. And this entire trip was just like, it was just magical from the beginning to the end, and it was full of encounter that I think that him and I, we would never forget. So I think like something drew me to you when we started the class. And this is why I asked you when we had to do this work, if you would take me as your subject, because I felt drawn to you, and the fact that you are a former dancer, then in all, and that you know that you are European former Latin dancer. There was like some stuff that it felt so familiar that I was very drawn and very comfortable doing this with you, and then the places we were in felt very, very rich and very very dense of a multitude of energies. And then right. the trip we took outside of the class with Eunice, because we became friends with the people that were hosting us, and they gave us some
your hotel.
Yeah, they gave us some private tour, and then we were able to enter in some places that normally tourists wouldn't go, and it was just like filled up with a bunch of like very strong energy, and the entire trip, it was building towards something that it was like insane. And then when we did that session, I remember it was long because the recording was like about almost 4 hours or something like that.
5. It was really long.
Yeah. But then when I listened to it, I think it was like I don't know, like revelation or turning point or epiphany or whatever words we want to put on it. It was just like there was a before that and then after that session, for me at least. Whether it's in my life, the way I live, or within my body, like all this stuff. Yeah, you know, like for Marisha, for example, because I remember I had a miscarriage right before that, and something was blocked, and then the doctors were like, well, we don't even know if you will be able to be a mom one day or whatever. And then at the session, like there was some mention on that topic. There was a lot of stuff mentioned, like the fact that I relieved my birth. I remember with the tunnel in the hands, and in fact that I could actually confront with my parents, because I asked them, because I had them listen to the tape, and then
you did.
I did. And because they both speak English, they were able to tell me, yes, my mom was actually like this, with this haircut, with this, like everything, like the hands, like the doctor put it in my head, in my dad's hand. So everything was actually matching how it happened. So it was just, I think the entire experience was crazy, crazy good, but like it was really a game changer for everything. Like I said, like there isn't before and there isn't after that moment in Egypt. That's for sure.
Well, like you said, you know, it was a magical week, and I almost feel like, I don't know if you share this like sense, but the learning we came for, you know, the training, it was almost like the least important part of it all.
Clearly. Yeah.
Everything around it.
Yeah.
You know, and especially meeting you and having that incredible journey, you know, that session, that was, I feel like, what I came for.
Yeah, that same. And you know, this is so funny because every time I'm taken to some place, it's never for the reason that I'm going to this place. It's always for the people that I'm meeting in this place. And this is crazy because it is true for literally everything in my life. It has never been for what I thought I was going for. And Egypt is definitely definitely one of those examples, because I could not remember anything about what we did in class, to be honest. Like literally, I cannot remember a thing. I don't even, and usually I have a good memory, but I don't even remember what was discussed or what was organized, or like, I remember the food, like when we were eating.
Right? The buffet.
The buffet. I remember that buffet. And I remember, and then I remembered our time together, but I don't remember like what was discussed in that class. So I feel like the entire experience was definitely not focused on this.
Yeah. And then a few years later, you contacted me, I think 2 years later, right? After Egypt. We stayed in contact. Yeah. You know, lose contact. And then you contacted me and you wanted to go on another journey, a second session. And that was like a proper, not just a training session, but you wanted to, as a client, right? Experience.
Yeah. I needed to heal what was going on in the sacral area.
Right. And at that time you were in France already.
Yeah, I was already in France. Yeah. It was it was after 2022, because we did the session. I was in that room. So we got the house on June 2022. So it was post that. So it was 3 years later.
Right. And that was an online session, because in Egypt, obviously we worked in person.
Yeah.
In that dingy little hotel with so much noise going on around it. It was like a miracle, but we were like in this bubble.
Yep.
That nothing could disturb.
Nope.
You know?
And I remember people knocking recording, somebody was knocking on the door.
Maybe one day, you know, we'll publish this first session in some way. But actually, guys, if you want to know more about Emilie's journey, the one we did together in Egypt, feel free to check out Sojourners 2, the second book I wrote, because she generously allowed me to share that journey in written form in that book. So if you want to know more about it, you know where to find it.
There is a part in it. Yep.
Yeah. And it's so funny because that chapter, do you know what the chapter is called in that book?
I don't remember. And I read it, but I can't recall the chapter.
Your chapter is called Playtime.
Playtime, yes.
And so that word was already...
It was already there.
Somehow, it was already there. And you know, that book was published, I think, 2 years before we started the podcast. Or at least 1 year. So it's funny how, you know, the dots all connect.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But I suspect them to be there, like... I suspected part of them to be there in Egypt.
Yes.
And then I suspected part of them to be there in the second one as well.
Yes. And that's when the mother came in for the first time.
Yeah.
Which it made sense with the topic as well, right?
So I feel like somehow there are... I don't know. Like maybe you asked them that question. I don't know, but I feel like somehow there is a connection between them, or some of them, and me right now. But I feel like they've been hovering. And on top of that, I've been poked many times. Okay, because I don't know if it's if we need to mention that, but as a child, I was how do you call that, clairvoyant, or I was seeing stuff that or I was seeing people, I guess, that were not there, like that were invisible to others, and I was hearing voices, and I was feeling touch and everything from age that I recall, from age 5 to 12. And then it was very potent, and it was very, very recurrent, and my parents were aware of that. And I remember my friends making fun of me because I was telling them, yes, I've been visited. And then this like weird kind of grayish, like was not happy with me. And then they did that to me and blah, 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 blah. And I was petrified of this. But anyway, so from my very early on, I felt like there was a connection with the invisible somehow that was calling. And then I closed the door, and then I reopened the door when a friend of mine came to LA, and for the first time of my life, I was meeting somebody. I was like, oh yeah, I did this like every day. When I was bored in school, I would be like doing this and then feeling them. I was like, oh my goodness, like, okay, talk to me. Because like for the first time I had somebody in front of me that
there are others.
Yeah, it was not crazy. That was my friend. And I was like, we're in the same team. Okay. And I told her, I said, I was afraid of all this and da da da. So
that was in your 20s.
That was in my 30s.
30s.
Yeah, I closed the door for like solidly closed. And then in my 30s, she came and she told me, okay, I do automatic writing. And I was like, what the heck is automatic writing? So she explained to me, she said, well, you take something to write with, you take something to write on, and then you just let your hand go. And I remember at the time I was a smoker, and then I was high as a kite on my outside couch. And I was okay, let's do it. I took something to write on. I took something to write with, and I said, okay, what do I do now? And she said, just wait. So I waited. And all of a sudden, and I will remember that feeling forever. My hand started to move alone, right? And I burst into laughter. It was so funny. The feeling, everything was just hilarious to me. It was so, so funny. And I started to write because the intention was, she was from France and she came to LA to meet Snoop Dogg. Long story short, right? Okay. And she was like 1 month with me for 1 month. And within the month, like she was like, I'm going to meet Snoop Dogg. I know I came here to meet Snoop Dogg. I'm going to meet him. I was like, okay.
Like not a concert, like literally meet.
Literally meet Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
Because she worked with his team as she's a portrait artist, and she worked with his team, but she talked to the team and everything, but she never actually met him. And she didn't have an appointment, nothing. So, okay, that was the intention. So as I was cracking into laughter, she was telling me, well, let's put an intention. Like, let's ask if I'm going to meet Snoop, right? Because, like, okay. And all I remember is on that notebook, and it's somewhere in LA, my stuff's still there. But on that notebook, there was like 8 of October written all over the pages. 8 of October, 8 of October, 8, 8, 8, 8, October, October, October. And it's written and it was very excited. And I was laughing. And it was keep on writing this. Okay. And then we forget about this, right? And 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in, still no meeting Snoop. And at one point I was working, remember, in a cannabis industry. And there was this festival. And it was an hour and a half away from us. And it was a cannabis festival. And the guest star was Snoop. And I was like, okay, look, like it's an hour and a half ago, we can go. I can go from my work and then we can go together. And then there is Snoop and maybe you get a chance to talk to him, whatever. And so, okay. So she sent a message to his manager, say, okay, I'm in LA. My friend is going to this event. I know Snoop is going, da, 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 da. And the guy said, yeah, just come, invited us. And then we ended up being on stage with Snoop. She ended up like hugging him and then talking to him. So she met Snoop and then we went home and then we realized a couple of days later that it was the 8th of October. So after that, I just like was not obsessed, but I dove in automatic writing. I did this like crazy for I don't know, maybe a year or two, crazy. And I had a bunch of very, very strong experience with it. And at one point I had a conversation, and then the what was writing through me, I asked if I could feel how it felt to be in their place, right? And then the answer was like, no, you cannot, because there is nothing that would match that on your realm. But I can give you a sneak peek of it. And on that day, I literally, Mario, I swear to you, this is actually, it has happened, right? And I know, and I wish somebody was there with me just to witness it. But it has happened. I put my pen down. I sit comfortably in my chair, like it was written, right? It was like, okay, put the pen down, sit comfortably in your chair.
The instructions.
And then next thing I know, I was like completely enveloped with this warm feeling, like I've never known that feeling. Even the warmest hug, the most lovely loving hug, don't compare that. Even orgasm, don't compare. There's nothing that compared to that feeling. But it was like pretty much like an envelope of
wow.
whoa, let's say that, whoa. And I levitated on my chair. So my butt was not sitting anymore on my chair. I was just like almost like literally levitating on the chair. And then next thing you know, the whoa goes out. I come back down on my chair, and then I grab down the pane, and then it writes, "Did you feel that?" And I was yeah, I did. So this is how I feel like everything started back again to me. Then I read Journey Out of Body by Robert Monroe, and I dove into OBE, and I stumbled on Dolores Cannon. And this is how this whole little thread get pulled back and then led me to Egypt. But before that, the door was sealed. But after that, when I opened the door, and then I dove in it, and I rode the wave, and then we did this stuff in Egypt. I felt them poking, like I felt something that was poking me to, I called it channel at the time because I thought this is how it was called, channeling.
Right.
It was poking me to channel, and it wanted, like I felt it, and I was like, I don't even know how to do it. Like I write, and every time I was writing, it was telling me, you know what is said, you don't have to finish writing, just open your mouth.
Right.
And I did it once. I opened my mouth, and I have this recording somewhere, and it was in 2021 or something, 2020, between 20 and 21.
After Egypt.
And then the channel, like whatever the stuff that was coming out of my mouth, right, was a very nice guidance at the time, with something completely like up there that I would not know how to word myself or to whatever. And then when I asked but who are you, the answer was, you can call us Rufus. And I stumbled on it last time. I have 3 phones, 3 old phones, and it's in one of them. And I did not recall that. Like, I just stumbled on it, and I was like, you can call us Rufus. And I was like, what the heck? So I know they've been poking somehow. So that's why I say they are hovering. And when we started those sessions, and they show up and they say that you can call us Rufus, or I don't recall how it was established. But then somehow I encountered them before with you, and I encountered them before when I was like just open up to channeling.
Right. And they were probably like, when we started the project, they were like, finally,
right?
She's
God
doing
damn it. 40 years.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I just remembered that they may have even pushed the two of us together, you know, to not leave it up by chance, because I do remember we had that voice coaching.
Yes.
In Egypt, right?
Yeah.
Like every practitioner had to perform, so to speak, or do the induction, right? Yep. That we learned in front of everyone. And I remember when it was my turn. Well, first of all, they made different groups, right? They divided the group into 3 smaller groups. Yep. So we could have been in completely different groups, but we were in the same.
Yep.
By chance.
And near each other, next to each other. Yeah.
Right. And then it was my turn. And for some reason, I don't know, I got this inspiration, like, do it in your native language. Like, don't do the English script. Do it in German. I was like, oh my God, German, everyone's going to hate the sounds coming out of my mouth, you know? Because German it's not a beautiful language to listen to. But for some reason, I decided, okay, I'll do it in German. And then something happened. And I couldn't explain what. Something, I want to say, like, amplified it, or it added like a quality to what was coming out of my mouth that I did not know at the time. I had never had that happen before.
It was the most soothing ever. This is why I was like, automatically, I want him to do my session. To me, it was the most perfect hypnotic. The way I received it, like, you would have went like a couple minutes more, I was under already. Even without understanding a word of German. But it was just perfectly reaching. I don't know how else to put it. It was like literally like reaching, like almost like grasping and say, okay, here, let's go.
Right. And then we coupled up
And then,
for the session.
Yep.
So interesting looking back at all these breadcrumbs, right?
Right. So I'm hoping that we'll follow them. And we did. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Oh my God. We're like, there's so much we could talk about, as always, right?
Yes.
Because our listeners don't know, when we do a session, a Rufus session, they're already quite long, right? They're like 1.5 to 2 hours after we cut them short, right?
Yeah.
Because in the beginning they were
it was longer.
We talk before that and we talk after. So it's like half a day almost.
Yes. And I think we're both talkers, so it can go on.
Yeah.
It could go on. Yeah. For a long time.
So I think we're doing that again. Okay. And I love it, but there are a lot more questions and people sent them in. So
fire them all.
I think they know now how it all started, right? That's what many people wanted to know. So I think you guys have a good impression now of what happened that led us to the start of this project. Maybe we should mention that, I mean, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know it because we've talked about it. Or I talked about it in one of the intros. We did not set out to start a podcast.
No.
So it was like a research mission, right? Yep.
It was a personal project. We wanted to explore and for ourselves. But we had no intention. We did not start this with the intention of publishing or podcasting or none of that. We're just like researching.
We thought maybe, I mean, let's see what we find, right? Because we realized that we work really well together. It's very easy for you to go into deep trance. You do it like super quickly. Apparently you resonate with my voice. So it was like a good team to do hypnosis sessions with, right? And I mean, when it comes to research, I am like our teacher, Dolores Cannon. Like, I could do this forever. It's my passion. Like, I love doing it. So when we had this idea, it was like Christmas and birthday and Hanukkah, everything at the same time, right?
I remember. That was a great idea, by the way.
Yeah. And so we just set out to do research, just jump in without like any plan, really. We were just, okay, let's see what comes up.
And I think they did the mapping.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, they did. The agenda, right? I think in the very first episode, they were like, boom, there. And they said, we are Rufus.
Yep.
So they didn't even let us have like one
session for free. Like, let's try that. Nope. No need, no time. Let's go.
Yes.
They were hovering. They were like this.
Well, and yeah, just to add this part, it started out as like a separate project, like a different project. And then I think after a few episodes, right? Like maybe 6, 7, we realized, okay, hey, maybe this should become something.
And then we were debating if it would be a book or a podcast.
Right. Yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, book publishing is what I know. Podcasting, it seemed like a lot of work. Now I know it is. But it was new territory. Neither of us had like done a podcast before. So, but we thought, okay, we have all these recordings. We can turn them into something that people can listen to. Right?
Yeah.
And so that was the last piece of the puzzle that got us to the podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, a book is great, but people have to buy it, right? And not everyone enjoys reading. I mean, I love books, but it's like it's limited in the way that you can get information out there really quickly. It takes time to write and publish a book. But the podcast was so much easier to publish.
Because we recorded it.
Exactly. So that was our intention behind it.
Yes.
Let's look at the questions.
I finished the whole thing. Sorry.
Well, it looked really delicious.
It was delicious, and
and you deserve it. You had a busy day.
Yeah.
First half of the day. If you want to get more, get it. Now I'll scan for questions
no, it's okay.
that we have not talked about yet. Okay. Well, you answered so much, like very organically. Oh yeah. What's your preparation, Emily, for a session? Like, do you have a special protocol? Is there anything that you do before we dive in?
None. I'm sorry. Absolutely none. I know. And I remember that I heard a bunch of stuff like, sometimes don't eat too heavy, sleep well, no substance abuse. Well, first of all, I'm no longer a smoker. I never drank alcohol. So I'm substance free. But for the food, I couldn't care less about what I would eat before the session, to be honest. And the preparation for me is just making sure that I come in, I set up the computer, and I'm ready to go. As far as preparation, and that's all. And then that I am alone in the room, so I can pretty much do whatever, or like not having to think about, okay, if there's somebody coming, are there? Là. Si, attends Mario. Hold on Mario. Non, en dessous. Les gants? Là, regarde, en dessous à gauche. Non, en dessous. Ouais, vas-y, ouvre. Derrière, là. Tu les vois ou pas? Okay, sorry.
Oh, no worries.
See? Alone in the room.
Yeah, good time.
So, yeah. But that's pretty much it. I am the worst at preparation just because I feel like I'm this kind of person. If I put too much effort into preparing something, then it becomes like a sort of control, and it kills the spontaneity, and it kills the natural aspect of it. So I tend to not prepare as much. I don't plan ahead. I pretty much operate in chaos very well. And therefore, I feel like this is reflecting kind of my way of life. Is I believe that I'm ready and I'm prepared enough for whatever needs to come. And that if it's not the right moment to do it, then nothing will come. And that's okay. And if it's the right moment to do it, then all I have to do is say, okay, I'm okay. I'm welcoming you, and you can use me as much as you want to spread guidance that will be like helping as many people as we can, and even me included. But there's no preparation. There's only like a good open heart on my end, that I really do believe that somehow this is helping. If I had a doubt, if I was thinking, okay, maybe today is not a good day, maybe this is not helping, maybe what's going to come is not going to be authentic, or yada, 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 then most of the time, for some reason, the day did not happen. Like either like a scheduled conflict or something didn't happen. But every time we had a session, my preparation was just like, oh, we have a session. I need to set up the computer. I need to clean the room. So I need to make sure hubby and baby are gone. And that's it. Done.
Yeah. That's so fascinating that you just said that, because that's exactly how I've been feeling about the dates that did not happen.
Yeah. Right?
Because, I mean, we both have very busy lives, so it's easy to have to cancel, a session date that we arranged, that we scheduled. And I always trust that, it's for a reason. If it doesn't work today, it's fine.
As frustrating as it can be.
Well, I think this is also, it speaks about the quality of this project when it comes to the love that we infuse with it, right? Because I'm so relaxed about it. And you as well, we just flow. And when something is not manifesting like a session date, then, oh yeah, okay.
It's okay.
See you next week.
Yeah. And I feel like this is where, at least for me, this is a good place to have the things happening when nothing is forced, when nothing is like we were talking about this before, like I want to go there, I want to do it this way, I want to see when this doesn't happen anymore, when it's just like, okay, yes, maybe, no, okay, whatever, then go with the flow. Then this is when like the most authentic or the most beautiful encounter happen. So and I think we operate the same way, and like on that.
Yeah. And I feel like this mechanism you were just describing, it kind of ensures that we always bring really good energy into the session.
Yes.
We never bring stress, pressure, right?
Nope. Because there is no point. Like, for me, if we're gonna dive into metaphysical and if we're gonna like do transmission or automatic writing or guidance or even like playing with my child or whatever, like something as random as this, if I'm not in a good place, like myself, let's say if I'm tired, if I'm moody, if I am irritated, or like if there's a lot of stuff that are like kind of not sitting well, then it's pretty much me opening the doors to whatever is going to match that energy. And I've seen it, and that's what I've been trying to explain, because like before I was doing initiation to automatic writing, I was doing psilocybin ceremony and all this stuff, and I would tell the people, like, first of all, you need to be good with yourself, good within the place that you're going to do it, and good with whatever is surrounding you. If you don't have those three elements, then just forget about it. It's not an appropriate day to go for it. Maybe another time. And then on top of that, and I just tell that to my good friend who is just reaching and discovering that she has ability to feel what's not physical. And like she is a bit scared of it. And I told her, like, and she asked me if there was like protection that I would use, ritual and all this stuff. And I said, well, if you believe that you need the ritual, then of course, by all means, do a ritual that you would be certain that you're protected. Because for me, this is exactly what it is. It's like, as long as you are certain that what you're going to encounter, what you're going to do is out of love, is just like a bunch of like warmness and goodness and then higher energy and nurturing and guidance and all this stuff, then this is what you're gonna like attract and project. If you have the slightest little doubt that maybe I can get something bad coming, or maybe I'm not in a good mood, then don't do it by all means, because you're opening the door, and this is of course something you're gonna project. So for me, the fact that everything is happening when we are both flowing, and then when the day is like, oh, it's like, this is working cool, it's not working cool, it's also a ritual of protection, because I mean, somehow if it's not working, that means there is an open door to something like that is maybe not as stable as we used to, or maybe not completely aligned as what we want to project, or maybe ourselves are not completely like solid in ourselves that day. But when we are actually going for it, usually is because everything is settled, everything is good, and we're loving, and we're in for a sweet moment. And this at least this is how I operate when I do metaphysical. I don't use ritual, because I know this is a question that I've been asked a lot of time. I don't use ritual, but I don't do it in the days that I am off balance, or that there is something that is bugging me, or that I am doubting that I'm going to be able to get only energy that match mine or higher. If I have this, I don't do anything.
Yeah. That's smart, I believe.
I think so. Like, from experience, this is what's been each and every time. Like, you could be sure the door was open to some, and then the day I am certain and I'm good and I know this is going to be all good, then you can be sure that it attracts that.
And we operate the same way here. And I think it has contributed to, the quality
I
of
hope so.
the episodes. Emily, how much more time do you have?
I have
know you
10
have to
more
leave.
minutes.
Okay, let's do a couple of quick ones.
Go for it.
Okay, this is a question to me, actually. Do you always have to hypnotize Emily? Well, we kind of go through a very short little induction. It's only a couple of minutes now. And we just do it to help Emily relax, because we could do it in like 20 seconds, right?
We could, but
it's just fun.
I like it.
It's like wellness.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, you were already answering these questions. Voice, body, words coming out. We talked about all of that. We talked about the different aspects. You explained how you remember conversations, meaning sometimes yes, sometimes not.
Yep.
How do you feel afterwards? Did we talk about that after a session?
No, we didn't. It depends. Like, well, most of the time I feel pretty good. But there might be a little transition phase if my body has been used a certain way and that I feel tension, especially in the facials. So there will be like maybe a couple minutes where my muscle needs to relax or to like, yeah,
loosen up.
Yeah. but beside that, usually I feel pretty good.
Okay, because they've been giving you energy boosts a couple of times, and some people have been wondering, like, how was that for you?
Well, for me, it's like almost I take a nap. You know, when you take a nap and then when you wake up and you feel like a little more rejuvenated, this is kind of like that for me. It's like I do the session. I will have the wake up. I will have the transition where my body needs to shake off the tension that was not the tension that is in my body from me, but the way it was used that brought some like physical tension. And once this is gone, I feel like I took a nap. So
wellness again.
So it's pretty, to me, it's pretty good. That's why I like it so much too.
Some people want to know, could you channel other beings as well?
I have no clue.
We've never tried, right?
I never tried. I have no idea.
So on your own, you have never tried either?
No, because like because if I channel on my own, like the first of all, I think I did it twice. Well, not talking about automatic writing, right? Talking about transmitting with my mouth. I did it twice, I think. And the first time Rufus came, so I guess it's the same. The second one, I'm not even sure what or who came, but it's harder because you have to, if you want to have a conversation, you have to get yourself out of trance to ask the question. And then you have to put yourself back in a trance to get the answer. There's nobody to do the conversation. So, and this is what I like with what we do is like, I can just, okay, boom, you got a vessel, use it. I'm going to be on my way. And then you got somebody to converse with you. And then I can get the benefits from it, watching, listening, or even subconsciously having it recorded into my body somehow. But this is, for me, this is the easiest way to channel. Or to transmit, because otherwise, if I transmit on my own, I'm going to do a monologue, and then, okay, I'm going to have an intention to start with, and maybe I can have this intention answered, but it will be a short monologue in the end. And I like the back and forth, and I think they do too, because this is how you can really, this is how they can engage, and also sometimes they can also adjust what they would give. Because sometimes I feel like they could give way more, because I would receive like very complex picture or like kind of like an internal knowing that I'm unable to process with my brain. It's like I know what they are sending, but I also know that at the moment my brain cannot process, and I'm okay with that. I understand there is a complexity that is way more detailed than what I can get, and I'm okay with that. But sometimes I feel like instead of going deep into that picture or that knowledge, they will surface it just because they feel like it would not be received to the full extent, because it's harder to process with limitation that we have. So I feel like when you have someone in front of them, when I'm in transmission, that would engage, and I would tell them, okay, yes, this we can go a little deeper. This we cannot. Can you elaborate? Can you do this? Like the back and forth. This is where it gets interesting to me, at least.
Oh, totally. I would agree. And I remember in the first or second episode when we were setting the agenda, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, can you just dictate this to me? You know, because at the time we thought it may be a book. And they were like, no, like you have to ask. Yeah. This has to be a dialogue.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's better this way. For me, it's better this way.
You just mentioned like what they show you in your inner world.
Yes.
There was one question coming from several people actually. What was it like for you? I don't know if you remember this, but we had Rufus open their eyes once.
Yes. Oh, I do remember. Yeah.
What did you see? Can you describe?
Yeah,
to our listeners.
It was blurry. Like I could see, but I could not see. It's so weird. So I went to the bathroom this day. I remember I opened my eyes and then I went to the bathroom.
Right.
So I knew how to get to the bathroom. So I could feel where the door. I could see kind of without seeing properly, but where the door was. It was almost like if you had a veil on your eyes. So you see the light, you see the shape, but I'm not seeing in details like I can see now. I was seeing more like if Mario right now, I would see a little bit of blue in a little bit of white. I would see
like
kind of the shape, yeah. But I would not see that you have a color like this. I would not see, like all those details.
No details.
No, it would be like very, very blurry. Like almost if you wear glasses and you don't have your glasses that day. It's blurry.
Right. Okay. So it changed from when your eyes were closed. Yes. You were seeing other stuff.
Yes.
Compared to when you opened.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it would have like also like some, sometimes like kind of a sparkle effect. It's like almost if you put a filter on what I know to be my house, I put a filter on it, then this is how I would see. But I don't like opening my eyes because I'm a visual person. So as soon as I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to start seeing something, I'm going to want to focus on this one and I'm going to want to hold on to this. So it's easier for me to stay away if I close my eyes because one of my senses is completely out and it's not distracting anything.
Right.
So if I open it, I'm pretty sure they can continue their conversation, but I'm also pretty sure that I would want to somehow comprehend why I'm seeing like this, what I'm looking at, what is this, why are those like little like, and I'll be busy mentally like having my focus somewhere else.
And that's actually why we decided against it, right?
Yeah.
Because we were testing it at the time.
Yeah.
But we said, no, we don't want you to be distracted in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
One more question.
Okay. Maybe one more answer.
Where was it? Whose stuffed animals have you been lying on?
My daughter. My daughter. I was like, because at first we were doing it in her bedroom when she was not here, when she was at school. I was sneaking in her bedroom.
Right.
So yes, I would leave all her stuffed animals, the Winnie, the Lemurian, like all those little stuff, and I would just like be comfortable on them.
Yeah. I mean, it was not planned, right? It just happened that way. And when we had the title for the podcast, it just seems so fitting, like playtime, right?
Yeah.
It had to be in your daughter's room.
Yes,
at the beginning.
Yeah.
And she's waiting to get picked up,
yes,
right?
Yes, yeah. That's why I'm texting.
Well, Emily, we won't hold you up any longer. This has been amazing. I mean, it's always so much fun, talking to you. I could do this for days.
Yes,
even.
Same here.
And just to let the audience know, this is a bonus episode for season 1, but this is not the end. We are definitely planning on continuing this project.
Yes.
We will see when and how, but season 2 is definitely on the board, and we have a lot of topics that we would like to explore. with you guys together. But for now, this is it.
This is it.
I can't believe it's been a year. It's been a year.
It went so fast. It went really fast.
Yeah.
Yep. Time is going faster and faster and faster. I don't know if it's the age or if it's really going faster and faster, but it feels faster.
It does. We actually talk about that as well in a later episode.
Okay, so I need to catch up. Yeah.
All right. So we won't make it dramatic. And, we will see everyone again. You'll hear us again.
Yes.
So see you in season 2.
See you in season 2.
Mwah.
Bisous.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.